Hi, everyone. My name is Sean Lowry, and I'm standing in here today for David Sequeira. And Kim Donaldson was also going to originally introduce Veronika. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that the University of Melbourne stands on unceded Wurundjeri country, and that artistic and cultural production has taken place on this country and across this extraordinary broader continental landmass for at least 65,000 years, which of course, notwithstanding the girth of our present, as a deep, deep time offering puts everything that we talk about here in this room in context. In Veronika Hauer's work, who you'll meet in a moment, objects, letters, and body parts converge through playful acts of transformation. A cast of a mouth, hand, foot, or an ear becomes the first letter of a body part it depicts. For example, M for mouth, L for leg, ear for ear. Elsewhere, a child's clenched fist emerges from the stem of a letter, performing a provocative fig hand gesture. Working across performance, sculpture, video, and print, Hauer's practice explores relationships between language and the body, often with irony, ambiguity, and wit. Based in Vienna, she lectures in the Department of Art and Communication Practices at the University of Applied Arts, Vienna. She's currently visiting Australia as part of a collaborative project with Katie Lee, who is also here, for the exhibition Ritual Eternal, which is curated by Associate Professor Kim Donaldson and myself at Project 8 Gallery until 13 September. I should do a little plug that one of a series of special performance activations by Veronika and Katie, titled Unfathomable Alphabets, will take place between 3 and 5 this afternoon at Project 8 Gallery. Please make Veronika welcome.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me properly. It's perfect. I'm Veronika. Thank you, Sean, for the very nice introduction, and thank you also for the opportunity to present my work here at the Art Forum. This is also a great opportunity to present more of my work in addition to the collaborative piece Sean just mentioned, which I'm showing at the moment with artist Katie Lee at Project 8. And as Sean also said, which you might have the chance to visit this afternoon for a live performance by Katie Lee, Arabella Frank Sturkey, Melanie Irwin, and myself. And I will now start my presentation, and I'm really happy to answer questions after the talk. I will try to give insight into the central themes and ideas that underpin my work as an artist, that are playing with language, codes, communicating language through writing, the performative aspects of language, and the relationship between viewer and artwork. And finally, how viewers can be addressed and activated within an exhibition. My work spans many different media: object making, video, performance, graphic design, and drawing. And today I will give you an insight into those works that deal with language, writing, codes, the performative aspects of language, and the relationship between viewer and artwork. However, due to the length of this lecture, I will omit one part of my practice, and that is my drawing practice. So you might want to look that up on my website. I have decided to show you a selection of works I've made during the last years that underpin the central ideas of my practice the best. As I just said, my work is occupied with different ways of communication and how the artwork or the artist communicate with the viewer within the exhibition space. How is art read, and how can the viewer's way to perceive or read an artwork can get challenged? I've always been interested in writing and the spoken word, which manifests in many of my early artworks and up to today. I've also been researching into how language has been transferred into visual systems of communication. how language is taught through images, and lastly, how the body speaks, but not so much in the sense of body language, but more in terms of language, in terms of sign language or other systems of signaling. So this brings me to the first work I would like to show to you today, a work called Semaphore Dance. Researching into systems of visual communication, I came across semaphore, that is, per definition, and I quote, a system of visual signaling by two flags held one in each hand, end quote. Semaphore is a means of silent, coded communication that uses the movement of the body and the waving of the flags to transmit letters, words, and hand messages to overcome physical distance. I became interested in how semaphore code could be used within an art context and how viewers could be challenged to decode the messages I sent. Hence, I learned how to semaphore and integrated it into two live performances and a video work. And the video work I would now like to show to you.
W E W A L K B A R E F O O T O V E R C A R P E T S B A C K G R O U N D S I S L A N D S S H I P W R E C K S We walk barefoot over carpets, backgrounds, islands, shipwrecks. T H R E E W O M E N. Three women. C L I C K C L I C K. Click, click.
So the work's title, Semaphore Dance, references Loie Fuller's famous serpentine dance, which she developed in 1891. For those unaware of her work, Loie Fuller was trained as an actress but became a pioneer of modern dance and theatrical lightning effects. In her serpentine dance, which she performed numerous times between 1891 and 1908, she combined her choreography with a silky costume that included two sticks and lighting of her own design. Fuller was many times captured with her dance in the works of early filmmakers and quickly started to be copied by other performers of her time. I developed the video work that you have just seen for an exhibition with Glasgow-based artist Lauren Printy-Curry and Graz-based artist Andreas Heller to be shown at Glasgow International Festival. Although I had not met Lauren in person before, I decided to ask her for a collaboration. I recorded a video of my semaphore performance and sent it to her to decode my little semaphore dance message. She made a voice recording whilst she watched and decoded my performance, and that became the voice over for the work that you've just seen. Semaphore dance plays with ideas of cryptic communication and the dismantling of language into its single letters. The message that I sent to Lauren was not really urgent, but it was rather poetic. We walk barefoot over carpets, backgrounds, islands, shipwrecks, three women, click, click. It also mentions a third woman to be walking with us, perhaps Loie Fuller. The second work I want to introduce to you is an ongoing series of graphics and sculptures I group under the name The Animated Alphabet. The title, The Animated Alphabet, refers to the long tradition of letter decoration by calligraphers, painters, and engravers. From the illuminated initials of medieval manuscripts to the anthropomorphic alphabets of the Renaissance, letters have always been the subject of artistic design. Like here in Das Menschenalphabet by Peter Flötner from the 16th century. The connection between writing and the body is particularly evident in anthropomorphic alphabets, in which the letters themselves can be designed as stylized human figures, animals, or combinations of both. For my series, The Animated Alphabet, I therefore examine the visual design of letters with a special focus on the connection between writing and the body. researching historical educational images from the 19th and the 20th century. For example, W.T. Crane's illustrations, An Animated Alphabet, which appeared in Harper's Monthly magazine in 1861, or the illustrations by the artist and niece of Sigmund Freud, Tom Seidman Freud. From her children's primer, Hooray We Read, Hooray We Write, from 1932. Or The Absurd ABC by British artist and children's book illustrator Walter Crane, who I came across while researching W.T. Crane, who has the same name, so I came across Walter Crane, and which you see here. So this is The Absurd ABC by Walter Crane. Walter Crane was very good in adding rhymes to his illustrations. I find that fascinating, and it inspired me to add alliterations to my own graphic works. While the absurdity of some pedagogical approaches to language teaching only becomes apparent with the passage of time, other approaches, such as that of Tom Seidman Freud, who I mentioned just earlier, continue to inspire me and us today. So here's more work from the inside of the book. And Tom Seidman Freud also made really wonderful children's books. So this is one of them, Die Fischreise. It's the cover and one of the illustrations. By reenacting and referencing these historical approaches in my own art practice, a composition emerges that I supplement with rhyming alliterations based on the respective letters of the alphabet. So far, 14 of these letters have been graphically processed. I'll now show you some of them. So I ask friends to restage W.T. Crane's alphabet. I photograph them and then I draw from these photographs and integrate the drawings into my graphics as illustrations. It's also a long process to find the rhymes and the poems, see what words work well together and how they perform when you speak them out loud. The final graphics are exhibited either as photo prints or textile prints, indoors or outdoors. Depending on the context, I choose to exhibit works that also form a word. For example, here I wrote her for the exhibition. And this specific exhibition at Rotor in Graz, here the flags or the textile prints were also combined with a sculpture work I will show you later. That's an image of an exhibition I was taking part in last autumn in Bologna. So for the facade of the building, I wrote the word noi, which means in Italian us. Translated to English, it means us, because the exhibition was very much about the city and the public spaces in the city and the common spaces that could be created through art and art practice. It was also in Bologna that I carried this flag that you just see here, in a performance event through the city. This is another example of an installation in my past exhibition in Graz. It was a solo exhibition this May, where I positioned the textile fabrics, 4 of them, in a square. And it writes, the title of the work is Live/Evil, because it's live, read backwards means evil. Of course, that's familiar to you. And I positioned them in the exhibition space, and no one did, but you could take the stand out of the how do you call it, the pole, or is that yeah, maybe? Yeah, possibly you could have taken it out of the stand, but no one did. Yeah, and carry it around in the city if you wish so. Yes. The works in the series can be read as subliminal instructions to the viewer, so that each individual print represents a performative invitation. The words I use for my alliterations or poems would probably not immediately be associated with educational motives, as they deliberately come from the dark corners of our imagination. So there's a second part to the series, as I mentioned earlier, the objects that I make. The graphic works are often accompanied by sculptures that also refer to the letters of the alphabet. In them, body parts and letters merge into sculpture. The cast of a mouth, a hand, a foot, or an ear merge into the initial letter of the respective body part. This is an installation view of an exhibition in Vienna where I first combined prints and sculpture. This is the cast of my own hand, merging into the letter H. And I also play around with the titles a little bit, so you can see this was called I Am Here, so it's a little joke. It's a detail. They're all plaster casting, painted. This is a photograph of an exhibition where you can also see how I combine the prints with the sculptures. The colors of most of the objects are black, white, or gray. And they create a visual similarity to letters. Their presentation on monochrome pedestals deliberately recalls building blocks from a child's room. Here, for example, this is it's not my hand; it's my son's hand. So I cast his foot and his hand when he was about 4 years old. So. This is a work called Mint Melting Mouth, so M Mint Melting Mouth. And I installed it at an exhibition previously together with the fabrics, with the printed fabrics HER. So it was, the whole title of the installation was Her Mint Melting Mouth. And that's the last one of the series. They take quite some time to be done. So I have five of them. And here they are again in an exhibition space. So I'll now come to the work that has occupied me over the past year and ultimately also brought me here to Melbourne. It's a collaboration with Melbourne-based artist Katie Lee, whom I met already in 2019 through a joint exhibition in Vienna whilst Katie was doing a residency in Austria. The curator who brought us together saw the common way we thought about objects as related to the body, for me with the alphabet and for Katie with the association of actions and objects. Katie and I have now been working on our collaboration, Unfathomable Alphabets, for a year, each in our own studio, but also together on Zoom, when it came to discuss ideas or testing our respective installations performatively. Two parts of this collaboration, a video work and a performative installation, were already on display in Graz earlier this year as part of my solo exhibition, Lingual Limbs. The children's rhyme, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words shall never hurt me," served as the soundtrack for our work. While this rhyme is taught to children to help them be stronger in the playground, when we consider the impact of language on our society and culture, it is not true. In fact, words can hurt us and do hurt others all of the time. Aware of the performative power of language, we countered the rhyme's original intention with an ironic twist. Comic-like, stylized bones and sticks, both painterly and sculptural, form an alphabetical system that is inscribed in the exhibition like the skeleton of language. While I modeled bones, Katie modeled stones and sticks. The video work, Sticks and Stones, provides insight into how we teach each other and our respective sculptural activities. And I will show you a part of the video work that was also shown in Graz earlier this year.
No, I got to worship. Fuck off.
Stops very abruptly here, sorry, but it's a much longer video, so I just showed you parts of it. So this is a picture of the show I just mentioned, Lingual Limbs, and this is an installation, the side of it with the table and all the objects on there, which Katie and I authored together, so to say. You see at the back, there's my bones installed on the wall. I made a lot of them, and I came up with a code according to drawings. I also made watercolor drawings and arranged the bones on the wall according to this code. So the code was available in the exhibition space, and viewers could see and try to decipher the message. The installation that Katie and me did together was activated during the opening event. And the object model that you just saw also in the video formed the basis for this joint installation. Through my drawing practice, I developed a typography with the bones, and also in a second step deconstructed the letters. These drawings are also to be seen at Project 8 at the moment. But from the typography of the bone alphabet, for the bone alphabet, I also designed a deck of cards. So this is the photo on the right side. And the deck of cards is also very important at the moment for the installation at Project 8 because we play with it a lot. Yes. So now, the last project. This is the collaboration at Project 8, where all the individually developed components came together in the exhibition space. Bones, sticks, stones, 2 card games, and a textile work that divides the performance space into 2 sectors that are not visible to each other. The installation was activated by performances on the opening night and will also be used for further events during the exhibition period. So not only today, but also at a later time in August and early September. Since the idea of playing and experimenting together within the installation is central to us, we have also handed over the installation to other artists and dancers and invited them to perform in it. Arabella Fran Starkey, Melanie Irwin, and Luigi Vestio were at the opening performing together with us in the space. The different artistic practices that each person brings to the table also create a great deal of tension when performing simultaneously on different sides of the installation. For example, the person on the other side of the screen can only be perceived through the sounds they produce themselves or with the objects, but cannot be seen. And I will now show you some more images. These are Katie's sticks, the work called Why. And this is one of my letters from the work that I wrote in Project 8. And this is a short clip from the opening performance. This is the end.
We'll open up for a few minutes of questions. Go to this particular crowd here. Any questions for Veronika?
Melanie. Really, no, because since I was studying in London, And I also, well, as I was making work there, I started to use the English language, and then I thought it would just make more sense to continue in English, yes, rather than in German, because German is very hard for. I mean, just a minority of people speak German, so I would want my work to be readable for other people as well. Yes. Yes.
How you decide to choose which fonts to use in your work, also the fonts, because from the images that you showed us earlier, with the reference images from medieval and like the 80s in children's books, often they're quite obscure in the sense that it's because of the design, the design element of it. It's quite hard to almost decipher what the alphabet actually is. And I was wondering, because your, I guess, the text that you use, the font that you use in the text is very simple compared to what the machine does. So I was just wondering if you could speak about like why you decided to choose those fonts, if you had a reason.
Well, it's always Helvetica. Very straightforward. I really want to set the focus less on the font, and that's why I maybe use such a clear or straight, I don't know, forward font, to focus the attention more on the images and the content of the text that I'm writing. So I think if I'd use, for example, a more playful font, that would take away the attention from the drawings and the content of the work and the poem. And yeah, I didn't really think it was important also to develop my own font, because I could have done that as well. So yeah, it's an interesting question. Thank you. Yes, please.
So yeah, you said that like the choice to use English opposed to German, like it would work, so you said accessibility. But how, like, do you think that the work in German would function the same to, like, obviously if it's read by German speakers, or because I guess that, I can speak German, but it feels like people, I don't know, it being in English, it's really speak to all these subjectivities of this, Western.
Yeah. I think that's like the main point, I think the work would function in German. To be honest, I think it's just that German is not such a beautiful language. I don't know, and it's got a very hard sound to it. Also, when you speak it, although maybe like the Austrian dialect is more soft. I often hear that because I'm from Austria. So maybe that it just comes back to the beginning, like my work is, it's very much about being read, and being perceived and understood and discussed. So I think if I would be doing work in German, it would just have a limited audience. Yeah. And I think like this Western approach is just like, because Austria and there's not much of a difference, in that sense. Yes. Thank you.
Words you provide have already been translated, so that's urgency sometimes for your view around that.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, please.
That's not in the text. It said arrogance, and then the flag said optimism.
Yeah, that's really possible because I change the works not all of the time, but I changed them like from exhibition to exhibition, and I used, for example, in earlier works, it was a much longer poem that I wrote. And now with the textile prints, I just use 3 words. Yes, so that's definitely possible. So I go like changing all the time, and sometimes picking up things that I had been doing like 10 years ago and incorporating them into a new work. So I think it's when you have a practice over like 20 years or 25 years, I'm really not that kind of artist who just thinks, oh, that's bullshit and I'm not going to use that again. So it's developing as I'm developing. Yes.
Well, thank you, Veronika, for the presentation.
Thank you for coming.